Turmoil over the presidential runoff election continues in Afghanistan. A defiant Abdullah Abdullah declared himself the winner. This comes one day after election officials declared that his opponent, Ashraf Ghani, was leading in preliminary results. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry warned against a power grab in attempts to create a parallel government. Meanwhile, a suicide bomber killed 16 people in Afghanistan's mountainous region. This comes as the security situation deteriorates and NATO troops prepare to leave the country. To help us sort out some of the issues arising from this election crisis in Afghanistan, I spoke to MICHAEL Kugelman from the Woodrow Wilson Center in Washington, D.C. Michael, of course, Abdullah does not accept the results of this election, and it's understandable considering he was far ahead of Ashraf Ghani in the first election and now lags pretty far behind in this runoff. Abdullah's claims that there is voter fraud. What are your thoughts about that? Does it seem likely to you?
Yes, it does, unfortunately. I would definitely say there was voter fraud, and really two specific reasons. One is that we're told in these preliminary results that there were 8 million people that voted. That's a large number. It would be at least 1 million more people than voted in the first round of elections. And yet eyewitnesses who were observing the vote during the second round of voting all consistently across the board were saying that turnout was much lower the second time around. People were talking about empty polling stations, no lines at all anywhere, and yet now we're hearing that at least 1 million more people voted in this second round. That's the first thing. The second reason why I think there is voter fraud is that if you look at the actual results, if you look at the numbers, they just don't add up. If you look at some of the provinces, voting in some provinces, in some cases, you see that the number of voters, the number of votes actually exceeded the number of eligible voters. So to me, that is that signifies fraud. I would not say that there was fraud on a mass level that Abdullah has suggested. I would not say that. I wouldn't believe all of his allegations. I mean, for example, he had said that he had an audio recording of the head of Afghanistan's election commission saying that he was going to help Ghani win the election. That's never been proven. That seems a bit hard to believe. But I would say that, unfortunately, there has indeed been fraud in this second round of voting.
The Election Commission says that they won't declare a winner until about 1 million ballots are completed in the auditing process. But I guess my question is, what assurance is there that the auditing process is clean?
Well, yeah, this is another problem. I mean, the good news is that over the last few years, and certainly since the last election in Afghanistan in 2009, there have been a lot of efforts by the international community to put a lot of money into making the election process, the electoral process in Afghanistan more efficient, more effective, and more clean, more transparent. So I think we have reason to believe that this recount, this audit, whatever you want to call it, will be relatively successful to the extent that it actually happens.
U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry, while on a visit to Tokyo, to Japan, said that if any power was seized illegally in Afghanistan, that would lead to an end to U.S. financial support as well as security support. How substantial would interrupting that support be for Afghanistan? And can you give us any details about how much the U.S. does support Afghanistan in these ways?
Yeah, well, I mean, really, Afghanistan is one of the largest recipients of U.S. foreign assistance. And really, given how much money flows into Afghanistan from the U.S. government, Afghanistan would effectively lose a lifeline. I mean, that's essentially what this assistance to Afghanistan has been. So this is a very big threat from John Kerry. That said, I don't think it's a threat that the U.S. government would have to follow up on. I don't think that things would get to the point in Afghanistan where you would have a situation where someone would try to overthrow the government or something like that. But it's a very big threat, a very dangerous one that has never been made before. And I think the Afghans know that. And in fact, Abdullah, who was earlier in the week saying that he was threatening to launch his own government, a shadow government, he's been backing down from that ever since Kerry made his threat.
And speaking of which, thinking of Secretary of State Kerry, he's supposed to visit on Friday. Do you think that this will make a substantive change in the atmosphere there?
Yes, I do think that it'll change the atmosphere. It certainly will not end the election crisis. Kerry's not going to go and come away with an outcome that everyone's happy with. But Kerry, I think, will help temperatures lower. I think he'll get both sides, the Abdullah side and the Ghani side, talking to each other. And Kerry has a good track record here. He's always been seen by the Obama administration as someone to send to this region, Afghanistan and also Pakistan, when there's a crisis that needs to be diffused. Kerry has always been this person. It goes back to his days as a senator. And I think for that reason, there's reason to be optimistic that when he goes to Afghanistan, it's not just going to be like you have a Secretary of State trying to mediate problems. It's going to be someone that has a proven record as someone that could get these sides to sit down and talk to each other and at least make the environment a bit more civil and a bit less tense.
Michael Kugelman, thank you so much for your expertise. It's always good to talk to you.